Hey guys, Jason Timothy here, musicsoftwaretraining.com, and I'm working on a track here for my Shadows project, and I think this will be one of the next singles that comes out. It's pretty close to completed, but as I was working on this, I came across something that I thought might be helpful for you guys, and let me show you what's going on real quick. So I've got loads of layers of vocals, and obviously those are going to be cleaned up over time, but we're pretty close on this. I actually wanted a lot of layers to get kind of more of a chorus sort of sound. I wanted it to sound like a lot of voices, a little bit chanty, if you will. But that's not the point of this particular video. In this video, what I am noticing here is that the voices are not like really cutting through. They sound soft, and I want them to sound soft, but I also want them to cut through. So I've got to figure out a way to make the best of both worlds. So let me show you kind of what it sounds like now. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the vocals. This style, actually, you guys might be wondering, why I put the vocals where I do. For this particular style of music, the vocals are a little bit more tucked back than in a lot of like pop music styles. But I still want the articulation to cut through. I still want the vocals to have a little bit of punch and a little bit of brightness. So the solution was to take one of my vocals. I don't want to take and sample all these layers, because then we're not really going to get the articulation because of the timing and the timing fluctuations between the vocals. So we just want one of the vocals, and that's what I've done here. Is I just duplicated, made a new track, and I've got one of the vocals in here. So if I turn everything off, you can hear what we've got.
Looks like it's hunting season.
Okay, so the reason that you've got it cutting like that is I've actually affected the transients so that just each of the transients gets a little punch. So if I start this off at 100%, this is what we've got.
Looks like it's hunting season. Do you kill or let them go?
All right, so we want that to be punchier. One, like I just did, I back this off. So basically, if you're in beats mode and you set to transients, it will recognize the transients, and then you could actually affect the timing of each transient. So if I bring this all the way down, you'll notice. Right? Okay. So, but just by backing it off a little bit, it puts the emphasis on the beginning of the transients, and then it kind of fades. So that was the first step that I did on both of these clips. Next, now this was just already on there, the stereo spread, so I'll leave that on. So the first thing that I did was I backed off the width a little bit. So I just used a utility to back it off. So it's a little bit more centered, but still.
Looks like it's hunting season. Do you kill?
So it's not going all the way in both speakers. So the next thing I did, I got rid of all the lower frequencies and really just have the upper mids and high frequencies. So you get kind of the brightness without all the mud. You definitely don't want the mud in one of these sort of tracks. Next, I compressed the hell out of it. So compression of 10.5 to 1, a little bit of attack so that the voice kind of gets through, and then a kind of a medium release. And by bringing the threshold way down, these transients start to cut through a lot more.
Looks like it's hunting season. Do you kill or let them go?
Right? So you're getting those T's and clicks and that sort of thing. And that's going to help the vocals overall cut through just by having a layer like this. So first thing I did was, strong compressor. It's not like I'm trying to make these vocals sound good technically. The goal is to make them bite and cut through. So that's all I'm trying to do with this. Next, I add a little bit of saturation.
Looks like it's hunting season.
Now, if I add too much, I just think there's too much noise and dirt in there. So I didn't want too much, but a little bit just to bring out the bright frequencies.
It's hunting season.
So we're
Looks like it's hunting season.
So that's cutting through pretty nicely. Next, I do a even stronger EQ. So basically, I didn't do as strong of a EQ here because I wanted the compressor to catch more of the frequencies. And then I can drive that up, and then we cut off the frequencies here.
Looks like it's hunting season. Do you kill?
So now each of those words kind of have more punch. And then
Looks like it's
I backed up the width just a little bit more. So I probably could have done it all with one utility, but sometimes the process is you're doing one thing at a time. So I don't mind using two EQs or two compressors if I need to. It's kind of just this process until you get what you're looking for. So I'm totally fine with that. So there we go. That's our extra track.
looks like it's hunting.
And then it's just a matter of mixing it in to the original vocals. So as I turn it up, see if you can hear the clarity, and then I'll do like a before and after.
It's just my heart's bleeding.
Okay, so now let me do before and after. You hear how that cuts through? Now that's a little extreme. I actually will probably back it off a little bit more, but I want you to hear kind of the difference in the articulation and the punch of the vocals.
It's just my heart's bleeding.
Now, another trick that you can use to get more articulation when you've kind of got an overall soft vocal is you can have a whisper track. If you have a whisper track, you kind of get some of that brightness and a little bit more articulation happening, and then you can affect that and bring that into the mix as well. Obviously, if you're doing this, if you're doing the whisper track, you will focus a lot more on the transients as well, so that things cut through. But if you don't have that, then this is another approach, and it works just as good for the most part. I mean, you might not want a whisper track. A whisper track can become more noticeable, but then once again, you could come in and you could back off those transients, so it's just kind of the first little bits of the words, right? So that is how I brighten up my vocals and also bring more articulation and more punch to the vocals without having to overdrive the overall sound that I'm happy with. So I hope this tip helps some of you that are working with vocals. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. That always helps the channel. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.